Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fibre Optics Redefined with Cleerline Technology. My name is Matt Dodd, always was, always will be, and with me are dear friends who I've known many, many years. And we're here to help you understand and feel more confident with the whole fibre piece. So, this being the first episode, we're going to just feel it out a little bit and have a little chinwag about the evolution of the Cleerline Technology Group. Where did it come from? You'll love that bit, especially the bit when Rob gets involved. And where's it going to? And a little bit of oversight as to what's going to happen next. So we want you to enjoy it and tell us what you think and stick around, right? Let me start by asking each of you lovely gentlemen to introduce yourselves. Rob?
Sure. I am Rob D'Addario, President, Managing Director of Cleerline Technology Group. Yeah. There you go.
That was the most uninspiring introduction.
No,
My name's Rob D'Addario, but you all know me anyway.
Yeah, no. Sorry.
Ryan
Prentice, been in the audio video industry 25 plus years, managing partner of Cleerline Technology Group.
Rick
Sant, managing partner, Cleerline, similar to Ryan, been in the business, mostly AV residential, leading up to involvement in Cleerline.
Well, it sounds all inspiring at Cleerline. You two sound like you're going to be sacked in the next 5 minutes. My name's Matt Dodd and I'm the Managing Director of Cleerline. What time is it over there? 3 a.m.? I don't know.
It's too early for Ryan.
You're not kidding. Rob, tell us a bit about why this podcast came about. What are we getting out of this? I mean, we could entertain the world, but where do we want to be with it? So I could totally take it off track.
Well, this is obviously a medium that quite a few people are using to connect with their user base and people that utilize their products and want to learn more and understand more where the company is coming from, where it's going, and where technology is going. And I think that as a business, where we are today, connecting with our customers and users of the product is essential for the long-term health of the business. There's a lot to be learned. There's a lot of misconceptions out there around fiber. There's a lot of misconceptions around Cleerline. And I think that any platform and any medium that allows us to express or clarify and bring clarity to who we are and what our intentions are and what we want to do as a business, I think is a good thing to explore.
I love the way that we've got 4 guys who are old, probably the least experienced in social media, setting up a social media event. But what we have got is charisma, stoicism, knowledge, looks. Well, Rick has anyway. Rick, Ryan, you guys came into this as former integrators, right? So you've been there, as have I. I was an integrator, nearly as successful as you two, but we didn't quite take over the world then, did we? How's it been, the journey from when you were integrating and installing stuff to now working and trying to influence integrators into, let's face it, what is the future?
Well, I think it's very interesting to be on the different side of the business. The days of being on call 24 hours a day for customers and having to just really try to make things as good as possible on that side, it's a lot different now because you're trying to convince the customers why they should be doing these infrastructure projects or various different products that we build. And it presents a whole different set of challenges from all aspects. The experience and knowledge from 20 plus years of doing integration is great, but everybody doesn't think the same way. In my opinion, the industry is very inconsistent. There's not a set of standards that people follow by. Everybody kind of goes on their own, which makes the challenge very difficult from the manufacturing side. And to bring something to the market that is revolutionary and different, that is ultimately easier, obviously with our product, but getting not only the customer's mindset, but getting other manufacturers to have more products that rely on fiber.
It's been an interesting journey because my business is involved in education and we work as Cleerline's partners in the Cleerline Academy. And it's been a real journey just to explain to people the reality of fiber. Is there still that stigma out there? There certainly was, even as recently as 2 or 3 years ago before lockdown. People were going out to see each other, and there was a stigma behind fiber. It was that getting the reality of the fact that Cleerline takes away all of the worry and fears of fiber away. It's stronger, it's safer, it's faster. And I think there's still an element of, oh yeah, but it's more expensive. It's not. It's not now. If you're working with technology, 10 gig technology, let's face it, it's 10 gig technology. If you're not integrating 10 gig, then you're just frightened or you don't know enough about networking. And I'll happily put my hand up to that because I wouldn't entertain anything less than 10 gig if I went back into the integration world. But that's something that we as a team, but you guys especially, have relentlessly worked so hard to push towards the integrators and to the distributors the value of Cleerline. How easy has that journey been? Or rather, is it an awful lot harder than you thought it would be? Rick? Stop smiling.
Awful lot harder. Awful lot harder. Well, I mean, Ryan and I were involved in doing installations when the change was occurring from component video to HDMI. And that was during the time period that some of the first Cat 5, Cat 6 Balins came to market. And you'd be going back into projects and hopefully you had ran those cables as needed for future proofing at the time to be able to upgrade those displays and whatnot. So getting into fiber and being able to see the same thing coming, and all four of us have stood at trade shows many years ago, tried to explain that to the customer of, hey, there's a change coming and you're going to have to be ready for it. And you have to be putting the infrastructure in to support it. Some people, especially more recently, those integrators have taken the lead and started doing that. And as you just said, doesn't even matter if you're doing 10 gig right now. You have to have the infrastructure in. It is changing. Copper's at its sunset. So you're going to be left behind and your customer is all going to be the one that pays the price if you're not installing fiber today.
What about the differences then between, we've all had lots of experience, of course, in residential AV and Pro AV, and anyone from the outside world looking in on AV, it's the same stuff, right? But it's not. They're two entirely different industries. How different has it been? What have been the challenges in influencing and onboarding Pro AV integrators in the Pro AV space as opposed to Resi? I think I know what you're going to say, but I need you to say it. Rob, what's been the biggest challenge for you in between those two parts of the industry?
Well, I think first and foremost, the size and scope of a commercial project is vastly different than a residential one. And when you're looking at that, that means that there are more people involved in whether it be the design and architecture of the project to the product itself and the people that are actually going to go in and install it. We look at it almost as a pyramid from a standpoint of the top of the pyramid being the owner, operator, person that wants that project to happen and owns the project from a completion standpoint and is going to own the building or be the business that is operating that finished solution. From there, you have more of the engineering community, which are like architects, people designing the scope of work, the design of the project, how it's supposed to work, what the experience is going to be, and they get signed off. And then you have an integration partner, and then you have maybe an electrical contractor, and no project and no pyramid is exactly the same. Sometimes you have different decision makers that are embedded in different parts of that structure. And that presents a lot more challenges, especially for an infrastructure project that we feel is game changing. We feel it's a disruptive product. We feel that it enables the end user to really embrace fiber in a way that they weren't able to do before. But how do you convince that entire stream all the way down? In the residential market, you're dealing with a much smaller group of decision makers. And if the integrator is sold on that they need to do this because they want to make sure that that customer is going to come back 2 or 3 years from now and want 8K, well, they're going to convince that customer to put in fiber, right? And use fiber. The other thing is people are finding that fiber is more reliable, more stable. It doesn't have the same interruptions and problems that copper has, especially when you get into the higher bandwidth applications. So it's more complicated, it's a challenge, but it's exceptionally rewarding when you get to the end of it and you have these great examples of projects that we've done. So it is what it is.
Cleerline is growing. The brand awareness is out there. I'm regularly in contact with lots of people from the industry, and it's much more recognized now than it was. As that early majority growth keeps going for you, are you finding that there's more and more people bringing it into their projects based on the reference from other people? You've got to use Cleerline. I've seen the light. I'm using it now. It's fantastic.
I think it is being more accepted as far as that goes and as far as a brand, especially in the AV market. And I like to distinguish the two, really. There's the IT market, which is much more heavily adopted from a fiber standpoint than the AV market is. But we still have, while the adoption of the brand is much higher than it was, and it is more recognizable, or seems to be, the two biggest problems holding up adoption are that copper still delivers power, and PoE is really a big competitor, more so than another brand is, to fiber, which is something that has to be overcome because that's a big challenge. And then the second is the equipment not having fiber optic ports on it. We need more and more manufacturers, and it really doesn't matter whether it's residential, commercial, pro, wherever, to adopt having fiber ports on them.
Is there still that challenge, though, with traditional fiber installers, people who have used fiber in the past? They've stuck with their brand. They won't move away from that. They've spent the time and effort and money to train up as fiber integrators. Along come you as disruptors. How have they taken it? Have you turned them, or are they a bit of a challenge for you still?
Most of the customers or clients that have used traditional fiber that see Cleerline, they really like it. And if they have the ability to make their own decisions, we have a great success rate of converting them to using our products. They're somewhat handcuffed a lot of times by specifications and getting consultants and design engineers to change what they have, or to get somebody to go to battle to convert things to Cleerline. And that, again, is another set of challenges for us.
Yeah, sure. Don't fear the fiber. Fiber is your friend. Listen, you need me on board as your marketing guy. Fiber is your friend. Don't fear it. I've used it. I've been out consulting with integrators in the past, and it's just faultless. You've got a set of parameters you need to stick to. You need to know your stuff a bit, but that's what the learning center's there for. You guys have got a good distribution channel, right? Globally. Has the supply out to integrators been okay? Have you been hit with the recent challenges that we've seen?
We've managed to skirt past that, even given, I think it was a challenge worldwide a year and a half ago, and lead times would go crazy and then come down. But the supply to our customer, internally, it was a fight, but our customers fortunately didn't feel the pain.
Here's one for you. If there's one thing that you really want your customers, the people listening to this, one thing, and by the way, you guys listening to this, we're going to do this every single episode. I'm going to ask these guys, one thing you want them to take away from this, one thing you want them to say to their friends, their family, the guy on the bus, the policeman that's just arrested them. One thing that you want them to take away, what would it be? Rick, one thing. What do people... Simplify it. What do they need to take away? What's the message from this episode?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, for all of their projects, even if they're not currently utilizing fiber at the moment, they have to be installing it. It is not an option. It will get used, and it will get used either today or very, very soon. Technology's changed. Data's changed. It's not an option.
Right, I'm going to give that a 4 out of 10. It's not a bad start.
That hurts.
How about you, Ryan?
Sure. I think don't overlook infrastructure. All the shiny objects and the fancy things that are really more customer facing, whether it be displays or control systems or all of these different things, they need a backbone. And fiber really is the backbone that's required for a happy customer, whether it's a residential or a commercial application. Don't overlook it.
The most expensive cable is?
The one you forget to put in.
There you go. Rob, I know what you're going to say. Just go and buy it, man. This is where we're at. Come on. Just go buy it. Buy the goddamn cable. Come on.
No, I always go back to, if we're comparing copper infrastructure to fiber, and we've watched over the years going from coax to Cat 3 to Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 6a, Cat 7, Cat 8 now. I don't know when Cat 9 is coming. But we constantly have to redesign the cable to handle the noise floor so that we can push more bandwidth. And when you look at fiber is the fiber that we put in today, OM3, the bandwidth is, we don't know when it will really run out at this stage. I mean, single mode is really infinite, but multi-mode. So you're instead changing what's connected to it. And that's why, as Ryan says, we have to have more companies looking at putting fiber ports on devices, because the infrastructure of putting in fiber is you're putting in something that's going to be able to be utilized for decades, not just a couple of years. And then, not to double down and go for two, but hey, fiber with Cleerline is much easier, and it's as easy to manage and work with as category cable is. And that's not what it was in the past with traditional fiber. And not to say that traditional fiber is so hard that nobody can do it. It's just that we set out with the goal to make this product as seamless and easy to work with as the pre-existing infrastructure products that were out there.
Sure. Yeah, 5.5 out of 10. We could do better than that next episodes, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, I'm the only man in the world that could probably get away with saying to Rob Dodori, you just scored 5 out of 10. But hey, I'll deal with it. From my perspective, people, education, right? These guys have brought me in at an inordinate amount of money, but I'm worth it, to help with the education, right? We've been installing copper and Cat5 and Cat5e and what have you for years. But can you confidently talk to people about the difference between Cat5e and Cat6, about the carrier frequencies and about bandwidth? Really? A customer challenges you about it, and why would I choose this over that? Really? You don't have to answer that out externally, just answer it in your own head. It's because it's what we do, right? And it worked. It was invariably massively reliable, unless you fitted it with a pair of scissors and wrapped it round with wire things. Then we knew how to install it, we knew how to put it in, and it was a given. It was part of we kind of almost said, well, there's your first fixed cost. That's the stuff we're putting in the wall. What we're doing here is an opportunity, because it had a limit. Category copper cable had a limit, right? It could only go so far. And I hate the term future-proofing, because if we could future-proof, then we'd all have crystal balls and whatever. We future-ready a project. And the wins for me as an integrator are always to explain to the customer, look, if we use this infrastructure now, this is how far it will go. Learn about Moore's law, right? Learn about the curve. It's not stopped since the 1970s or whatever it is. Components are getting more powerful and they're half the price. And more powerful, off they go. And the speed of internet is never going to stop. It's not going to stop at 1 gig or 10 gig. It's going to keep going. You send your picture or you go download the Facebook homepage, it's gone through a 100 gig switch to get to your phone. It's happening. And fiber is the way that we can best future ready a project. And I think everybody's been frightened of it a little bit. Ultimately, we will get to the point, I'd imagine, Rob, you'll probably agree or not, I don't know, but people will be putting it in because they have to. That's it. They might not be able to really comfortably explain fully the integral differences between an OM3 and an OM4 single mode, and they'll know what single mode and multi-mode does, but they won't really be able to stand in front of a TED talk and explain to people what it does. We are giving you the chance to learn about this, and I think you should really take that on board. Learn about it now, become the adopter of it through educating yourself. That's going to really help you and give you confidence when you're positioning this to the data centers that you might be in front of, the IT crowd that are part of this massive infrastructure that you're putting in. Know your stuff, because that's really going to help people to feel confident that they are in bed with the right people, bringing in the right product. I'm mad, Dad. Take care of yourself. Oh, he's gone now, isn't he? Jerry Springer. There were 7 last week.
Sadly.
Really? he was born in England. He's an Englishman, was.
Oh, little legacy.
So we could riff a bit now, but these podcasts, they're designed to just let you guys in on what's happening here at the mothership. And we want you to come back to us with comments, tell us, talk to us, get in touch, ask the questions. Anything we can do to give you the confidence to know that you've got the support. We know it's the right product. You don't send it back. You don't install a fiber cable and then say it's gone wrong, I'm going to send it back. It doesn't go wrong, but don't fear it. Let's talk about certification very quickly. We'll do this another episode. But Rob, big new revelation coming up soon. New certification, new platform, new look, new feel.
Yeah, we've gone through quite a bit over the last 3 years with the pandemic and everything going online to trying to do in-person trainings and certifications. And we really wanted to create a new community and resource center that brought a lot of the elements of what we're working with from a product standpoint to that's instructional content where you're looking at the how-to of how to install something or terminate something or recalibrate a cleaver or something of that nature, to training and understanding why you're doing fiber and what's important, what are the important components you need to be utilizing, and how the infrastructure is supposed to be laid out. So we are launching the new Academy July 1st, and the certification program will be online, on demand, and it's exciting. We're not just going to have the certification training element where we were before, but we're going to have a centralized repository and resource center as well as community. And that's one of the reasons we're targeting launching this podcast with all of that. And it's exciting times. There's a lot of good work going on. And I think that it's going to be a lot easier to navigate the breadth of product and resources we have available for our customers.
It's about recognition and rewarding the competency of people as well. This is how I've been able to skill and share my skill is you do education, you do training, but we have to see how well you're competent with it. How comfortable are you in going off and doing this? We set you objectives to go and be ambassadors for Cleerline, but we need you to prove to us that you can do that. And that's what the Academy is all about. We want to recognize that competency, reward you for it. And more importantly, we want other people to recognize it. As the brand awareness grows, which it's doing and it has been doing and will continue to do so, ultimately it goes to the customer to see, well, I want this product in and I want the guy who knows how to putting it in, please. It's all very well being able to terminate fiber really quickly, but I'm more interested in skilling someone up who can take a scope of works, who can specify that job and integrate and put it in and get it signed off and all approved and all done. That's, to me, is the level of competency that we're achieving with people through the Academy. So it's there at the moment. We're growing it, but we're now growing it even further. And all the resources that you need will be there. Adoption is happening. Cleerline is the future of fiber. It's as simple as that. And we'd love to hear your comments. Tell us what you think. Anything, just tell us. I'll only read the good ones out, of course. But I like to read the bad ones as well. You don't have to tell us who you are, but it would be useful. You know, as we wrap up this first episode, we'll settle in. We'll get these guys loosened up, don't worry. That's my job. Any parting words of wisdom before we send these people on their merry way, giggling away on a bus? Just think about that, right, Rob? Somebody's listening to this on a bus right now, going to work or a train. Let's make them laugh. Look at the person next to you and say, Cleerline is great. No, better still, look at the person next to you and shout, fiber, don't fear the fiber. Dare you. Video yourself. Film yourself on your phone shouting, don't fear the fiber. Go and walk up to somebody in the street and say, don't fear the fiber. We're going to get photos of people with a black eye. I did that, Matt. Lawsuit on its way. Any more wise suggestions? I might as well have kicked him in the knee.
Oh, this fiber is not for consumption.
Yeah, human consumption anyway. Well, that brings us to the end of this first podcast. Thank you for listening to Fiber Optics Redefined with Cleerline Technology. And don't forget, don't fear the fiber. Okay? I'll see you next time.